You've probably heard the buzz, right? Maybe even tried it yourself. The idea that something as simple as chewing gum could be a secret weapon for weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those tricks,
Yeah.
a persistent health rumor people try, hoping for an easy shortcut.
Yeah, often without really understanding the full story, I think.
Exactly. So today we're doing a deep dive. Beyond the quick tips, what does the actual science say about this seemingly simple habit?
It's a really interesting question, actually, because on the surface, it sounds, well, almost too good to be true, doesn't it?
It really does.
So we're pulling back the curtain today. We'll explore the surprising claims, the scientific findings, and yes, the health impacts that often get overlooked. Things like appetite, metabolism, overall well-being.
And our mission, really, is to give you that shortcut to being genuinely well-informed on this.
Right.
And to do that, we've pulled from pretty diverse stack of sources.
Yeah.
We've got, proper scientific studies from journals like Applied Physiology, Nutrition and Metabolism, and the British Medical Journal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the peer-reviewed stuff.
Right. But we've also balanced that with health articles from places like Live Science and WebMD, and even looked at real-world chat on forums like Reddit. Which
is great for getting that broader perspective. It means you're not just getting one side of the story.
Totally. We think this mix gives us a more kind of 360-degree view.
Exactly. And hopefully we'll uncover some genuine aha moments and give you some actionable insights, especially if you're curious about how this everyday thing might actually interact with your body. So, should we chew on this?
Let's do it. So, kicking things off, this widespread belief that chewing gum, especially the sugar-free kind, can be a real, game changer for weight management. Some sources even call it an easy, practical tool. But why do people think it works? What's the promise here?
Well, the main claims really boil down to two things. First, reducing appetite and cravings. Second, maybe burning a few extra calories, though that's often debated.
People are basically looking for something easy, something they can just slot into their day to help control intake without feeling like they're on some super strict diet.
Okay, let's unpack that first one, appetite. How does simply chewing gum supposedly help us eat less? It just sounds, too simple.
It does sound simple, but there is actually some science behind it. Multiple studies suggest chewing sugar-free gum can lead to decreased feelings of hunger, and particularly cravings for something sweet.
Really? Sweet cravings specifically?
Yeah, quite specifically. For example, there was a study funded by Wrigley, the big gum company.
Sure.
They found gum chewers ate about 40 fewer snack calories and 60 fewer sweet snack calories after a meal compared to people who didn't chew gum.
Interesting. So after a meal, not before.
In that particular study, yes. And other research found similar things. People chewing gum for like 45 minutes after meals reported feeling less hungry and having less desire for snacks. Some even said they felt more energetic, less drowsy.
That's quite specific. But why? What's the mechanism? Is it just distraction?
It's a bit more than just distraction, although that definitely plays a role. Chewing gum can satisfy what psychologists sometimes call the oral fixation component.
Okay.
Basically, giving your mouth something to do. It can be a helpful deterrent against that mindless eating,
Yes.
Like stopping you nibbling while you cook or watch TV.
Makes sense.
But beyond that, it seems linked to improved satiation and satiety. That's the feeling of fullness and satisfaction you get after eating.
Right.
Chewing gum might actually create a feeling of fullness, maybe by stimulating certain gut hormones. It kind of sends signals to your brain saying, hey, maybe we're full, even without actual food volume.
Okay, that's fascinating. Now, the second point you mentioned, the calorie burn. This is where it gets really interesting for lots of people, right? Burning calories just by chewing.
Yeah, this one gets a lot of attention. But let's be clear, we're not talking about the next big workout trend here.
Okay, good. Didn't think so.
But yes, there is a slight increase in energy expenditure, or EE, linked to chewing gum. Studies show that both fasting EE and post-meal EE can be a bit higher when you chew gum.
How much higher are we talking?
Well, one study reported gum chewers burned about 5% more calories than non-gum chewers. Another calculation landed on roughly 11 calories per hour burned while chewing gum at rest.
11 calories an hour. That really doesn't sound like much on its own. Is that practically useful for weight loss or just like a scientific footnote?
You're right to question it. 11 calories is minimal in the grand scheme of things.
Yep.
But here's where it gets a little more interesting. When you combine it with physical activity like walking, the effect seems more noticeable.
Ah, okay.
There was a study that found chewing gum while walking significantly increased energy expenditure, fat oxidation, and heart rate.
Okay, so why would that happen? Just the effort of chewing?
Pretty much. It's thought that the muscular effort of chewing increases activity in the sympathetic nervous system. That's your body's sort of fight or flight system. It gives things a tiny rev up, boosting energy use slightly.
So your body's working just a fraction harder.
Exactly. In that walking study, they saw about a 10% increase in energy expenditure and even a 13.6% increase in fat burning while chewing gum during the walk.
Wow, okay, that's more than I expected.
Still small numbers overall, but the idea isn't that gum is your workout buddy. It's more that theoretically, tiny, consistent efforts can add up over time. Like, if someone walked for an hour every day chewing gum, maybe it could help prevent that tiny bit of age-related weight gain. Perhaps, 0.6 to 1.3 kilos a year.
Right, so not a weight loss strategy, but maybe a tiny weight gain prevention tool, potentially.
Potentially, for some people, in that specific context. It highlights how small habits can matter, even if gum chewing itself isn't going to transform your weight on its own.
Okay, so let's put it all together. What does this mean for someone actually trying to manage their weight? Is gum the ultimate diet hack, or is there a big catch? Because it sounds promising, but also kind of marginal.
There's definitely a catch, a big one, really. Despite these interesting potential benefits, the overall impact on significant weight loss is considered minimal.
Minimal, okay.
It really should be seen as just a minor tool within a broader, healthy lifestyle. It's absolutely not a standalone weight loss strategy, like someone on Reddit put it pretty bluntly but accurately. A person eating 6,000 calories of food a day could chew gum 247, and it would make absolutely no difference to their weight.
That's a very clear image. And I guess there are other reasons it's not a magic bullet, right? Beyond just the small calorie effect.
Oh, absolutely. One thing some sources warn about is compensatory eating, meaning people might unconsciously compensate for the calories burned while chewing gum by eating more food later on. Or maybe even trickier, some research suggests it could potentially increase hunger for some people, making them snack more or overeat.
Oh, interesting. So it could backfire.
It could, yeah. It effectively canceling out any potential calorie burning benefits. It's like your brain goes, oh, I saved some calories or worked a bit harder. Now I can have extra. Plus, the results aren't even consistent across all studies. Chewing gum may not provide benefits in reducing hunger or managing food intake for every person. It's variable.
And wasn't there something about fruit?
Yes, that was another interesting point raised. There's a concern that chewing minty gum, in particular, may decrease a person's desire to eat fruit. Maybe because it makes fruit taste weird afterwards.
Yep.
That could potentially nudge your overall diet quality down a bit.
So it seems like for every potential upside, there's a possible downside or limitation.
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's really dig into those potential side effects and health risks now, because I think this is where things get perhaps more serious than people realize.
Definitely. And a major concern here comes from the artificial sweeteners used in most sugar-free gum, especially one called sorbitol.
Sorbitol. Okay, what's the issue with that?
The key thing you need to know about sorbitol is that it's a known laxative.
A laxative. In chewing gum, how much are we talking?
Well, each stick might have around 1.25 grams. And if someone chews a lot, say 15 to 20 sticks a day, which some people do.
Oh, yeah, I can see people doing that.
That level of consumption can lead to chronic diarrhea, other stomach problems, and even significant unintended weight loss.
Unintended weight loss from diarrhea.
Exactly. The British Medical Journal actually documented cases where patients lost a lot of weight, like 11 kilos, even 22 kilos, because of sorbitol-induced osmotic diarrhea.
22 kilos. That's almost 50 pounds.
It happens because sorbitol is poorly absorbed by the small intestine. So it just sits there undigested and basically pulls water into your bowel like a sponge. That leads to chronic diarrhea and poor nutrient absorption. So yes, weight loss, but definitely not the healthy kind.
Yikes. That's way more serious than just a bit of an upset stomach.
Yeah.
It really shows how these sugar substitutes aren't always harmless, especially in large amounts.
Absolutely. It's a stark reminder.
Are there other sweeteners with issues? Or is sorbitol the main culprit?
Sorbitol is a big one for the laxative effect, but there are other concerns, like saccharin. Some rat studies suggested it might actually confuse the body's ability to regulate food intake.
Confuse it how? Leading to weight gain.
Potentially, yes. The idea is that the sweet taste triggers an expectation of incoming calories in the body. When those calories don't arrive because it's an artificial sweetener, the body might get confused signals, potentially leading to increased eating later on to compensate.
Huh. So the very thing you're using to avoid calories could maybe make you eat more overall.
It's a theory based on some animal studies, but it's definitely food for thought. It complicates the simple sugar-free is always better idea.
Definitely. Okay, so sweeteners are one area. Are there other gut issues besides the laxative effect?
Yeah, a couple other things. Chewing gum makes you swallow more air, which is a pretty common cause of bloating and gas for some people.
Right, makes sense.
And also, the act of chewing itself can falsely signal to your body that you are eating. This can trigger the release of stomach acid and digestive enzymes.
But there's no food coming down.
Exactly. So if there's no food to actually digest, that excess acid can potentially lead to discomfort, indigestion, maybe even contribute to ulcers over time in susceptible individuals.
Okay, wow. What about our teeth? I always thought sugar-free gum was good for teeth.
It can be in some ways. Chewing stimulates saliva, which is good. It helps neutralize acids and wash away food particles, potentially preventing decay.
That's true.
There's a but, isn't there? There's often a but. The issue is that many sugar-free gums contain higher concentrations of acidic flavorings and preservatives.
So not the sugar, but the acids.
Precisely. These acids can cause dental erosion. That's a slow loss of calcium from your teeth. Over time, with frequent exposure, your teeth could potentially weaken, maybe even essentially dissolve in extreme long-term cases if the erosion isn't managed.
So the sugar-free label doesn't mean it's totally harmless for teeth.
Not necessarily, no, especially if you're chewing it constantly throughout the day. There's also a minor point about mercury fillings. Chewing can apparently cause tiny amounts of mercury vapor to be released from old amalgam fillings. Most dentists say it's not considered a serious health risk, but it's another thing to be aware of.
Okay. And the last one, jaw pain. I feel like I hear about this a lot. Clicking, soreness.
Yes, definitely. Excessive gum chewing can cause or worsen a painful jaw disorder called TMD, or temporomandibular joint disorder.
TMD, okay. Why does that happen? Just overuse.
Pretty much. It's the constant repetitive strain on your jaw muscles and the joint itself. Think about how many times you chew per minute, multiplied by hours.
Yeah, that adds up.
And this TMD can lead to some really unpleasant symptoms. Popping or clicking when chewing or talking, chronic headaches, pain spreading to the face, ears, neck, temple, even trouble speaking or fully opening your mouth.
So what seems like a simple, harmless habit could actually lead to chronic pain for some people.
It absolutely can if done to excess. The mechanical stress is real.
This has been incredibly eye-opening about gum. It really drives home that it's not this simple fix people might think it is. And it makes you think differently about chewing in general, doesn't it? Like, what's the difference between chewing gum and actually chewing real food properly?
That is such a critical distinction to make, and it kind of brings us back to digestive basics. Chewing real food thoroughly is fundamentally important. It's described as the critical first step in digestion.
Why?
Because it dramatically improves nutrient absorption. When you chew your food really well, you break it down into much smaller particles. That gives your digestive enzymes way more surface area to work on once the food reaches your stomach.
Okay, so better digestion from the start.
Exactly. And better digestion means better nutrient uptake. This can actually help prevent overeating that might be driven by your body craving nutrients it's not properly absorbing from poorly chewed food.
So chewing well could actually help you feel satisfied with less food because you're getting more out of it.
That's part of it, yes. And the other big part is portion control and satiety signals. Chewing slowly and thoroughly gives your brain enough time to register that you're getting full.
The brain-gut connection.
Right. If you just wolf down your food, your stomach might be full before your brain gets the message, leading you to eat more than you actually need. There was a study, for example, that found people who chewed their food 40 times per bite ate nearly 12% less food than those who chewed only 15 times.
40 times. That sounds like a lot.
It does, but it illustrates the point that slower pace, that more thorough breakdown, it promotes mindful eating. It helps you tune into your body's actual hunger and fullness cues much better.
And is there any metabolic boost from chewing real foods like the tiny one we talked about with gum?
Yes, but in a more natural and arguably more significant way. The act of chewing and digesting real food itself requires energy. This is called the thermic effect of food, or TF. Chewing kickstarts the whole digestive process, signaling your body to ramp up energy expenditure to process the incoming food. It's a natural part of your metabolism.
So it's part of how we're designed to process food.
Exactly. The general recommendation for better digestion and mindful eating is often to aim for, maybe not 40 times always, but chewing until the food is almost liquid before swallowing. Really letting digestion start properly in the mouth.
What a fascinating journey, from a simple piece of gum to the fundamentals of digestion. So let's try and wrap this up. To recap, chewing gum. It looks like it offers some, well, pretty minor benefits for appetite, maybe sweet cravings, and a tiny little nudge in calorie burn.
Very minor, yeah.
But it is absolutely not a magic bullet for weight loss.
Yeah.
Far from it.
Definitely not. It's a supplementary tool, at best, and we really need to remember the potential downsides, the digestive issues from excessive sorbitol, the potential for other gut upset, the dental erosion from acids, and that mechanical stress on the jaw leading to TMD.
Right. So if you're serious about managing weight and boosting your overall health, the reliable path is still, well, the stuff we already know, isn't it?
Pretty much. A balanced, nutritious diet, lots of whole foods, moderation, cutting back on the sugary drinks, sweets, processed junk, combined with regular physical activity. That's the foundation.
And gum, where does that fit in?
If you enjoy it, maybe use it occasionally in moderation. Think of it as a very, very minor player, not a key part of your health strategy.
Got it. A footnote, perhaps, rather than a headline.
Exactly. And that leads us to a final thought for you, our listeners, to maybe chew on. Considering how this simple act of chewing, whether it's gum or food, can have such varied and sometimes unexpected impacts on our bodies, what other seemingly small, everyday habits might be affecting your health in ways you haven't really considered yet?
That's a great question to ponder. Something to think about indeed.